That is the amount of water bottles that are consumed each year by Americans. So imagine these 50 billion water bottles just piled up. Gary Carney, who is a writer for Sustainable Business Forum, went on to say that out of those 50 billion water bottles, 30 billion of those were not recycled and ended up in our landfills, and even worse, in our oceans, lakes, rivers, and highways. Okay, I lost my train of thought because of that. And 30 billion of those ended up in our oceans, highways, lakes, and freeways. And that is quite a frightening number. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Miranda. So, I am a sustainability minor here at ASU, and I have always had a large interest and passion in helping create an environment that is more sustainable and cleaner for all of us. It is my intention this morning to convince you by proposition of policy that the United States should encourage the use of reusable water bottles by installing some more water bottle refilling stations at our schools, parks, and airports. So today I will be covering the problems that water bottles create, some of the causes, and lastly I will cover the solutions that we can all follow. So I will begin by talking about some of the problems. So the first problem is the production of the water bottles. According to a 2007 study that was conducted by Pacific Institute, they found that in 2007, it took 17 million barrels of oil just to produce plastic water bottles. And out of those 17 million barrels of oil, that could have fueled 1 million cars in 1 year in America. So that is like a lot of energy that was just wasted. And above the extravagant amount of oil that was used to produce all of that, these water bottles also have to be shipped out to our stores, and that creates air pollution with the ships, airplanes, trucks, and all of that. Susanna Didier, who is a writer at Green Living National Geographic, mentioned that in 2006, Fiji, the water bottle company, shipped 18 million gallons of water to California, which released 2,500 tons of pollution. Another problem with these water bottles is, have any of you ever heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? No. Well, it is a landfill, and it is located between Hawaii and California, and it is actually the world's largest floating landfill, and it is about twice the size of Texas. So just imagine nothing but landfill in our oceans, and most of it is made up of plastic from water bottles that we don't recycle. And animals like seabirds and fish are eating these. They're ingesting them in their stomachs, and they can't digest them, so they end up killing them. So now that we have looked at the problems, let's look at some of the causes. The causes is just lack of education. Water bottles companies kind of educate us to believe that their water bottles are safer than tap water. They want us to buy their product. But, again, according to my audience analysis survey that I conducted, 57% of you believe that water bottle is actually safer than tap water, but it's not. There was a study conducted, and it was called Tap or Bottle Drinking Preferences Among Urban and Minority Children and Adolescents, which was published in Journal of Community Health in 2012. They found that bottled water is actually less regulated than bottled water. Bottled water is less regulated than tap water. So these water bottles just make us believe that that tap water is actually dangerous for us, when in reality bottled water is actually worse for us. So now that we have looked at some of the causes, let's look at some of the solutions. So some of the solutions would be to buy a water bottle, reusable one like the one that Jeannie has. They are actually quite convenient. I know some of you said that you use water bottles because of its convenience, but those only cost $4. And if we look at the amount of how much we spend on a water bottle, maybe about $2 per package, that just adds up yearly. And tap water is ultimately free. I mean, we can get it for like 1 cent a gallon compared to, we pay, I think, 10,000 times more for our water bottles. Another thing that we can do is by installing a filtered system in our home. My parents have a reverse osmosis system at our home, and it just cleans our waters just beautifully. I love it. But there's also another alternative by installing a sink filter, or by just buying a pitcher, kind of like the Brita ones, and it can just filter all of our waters. So now that we have looked at the problems, the causes, and the solutions. I hope that today that I have convinced you to kind of go green and just think about the 30 billion water bottles that are in our landfills every year. If we look at this picture is just becoming way too common in our environment today, and it's just going to keep getting worse if we don't make a change and start using refillable water bottles. So I urge all of you to call our Congressman David Schrecker and just urge them to kind of let him know that the causes of the water bottles and how they're harming our environment, and just let him know that we need more water bottle refilling stations in our schools. I know we have some at ASU, but it would be awesome if we had some everywhere, kind of like in our light rails, the shopping centers, because we live in the desert. It's like super hot. So just remember, think about the 30 billion water bottles that are just piling up. Animals, our beautiful creatures, are eating them and they're dying because of it. So the next time you go out and buy a water bottle, just think of maybe hopefully recycling if you have to buy a water bottle. If not, hopefully avoid it and just buy a reusable one. So I hope today that I have convinced you to kind of just go out and make the choice to go greener. So thank you.